Yes, it's mature enough for enterprise-wide adoption, but there is a mismatch between what potential end users, what they understand can be done and what the providers can provide. We put together a cloud assessment tool so that an enterprise user can look at their own internal workloads and services, and then step by step make an assessment on what the requirements would be, create a checklist, and then have a checklist that they can take to the provider who would have done a benchmarking exercise against the same framework, so that two parties are using the same language. And by doing that, you will address quite a lot of the fear, uncertainty and doubt around what workloads can be put on the cloud. Having an infrastructure or your own IT machine park might make sense for certain organizations, but certainly not for all, because it's not a competitive tool. It is just something to keep the lights on in the house. So to move that investment away, that's one thing, but to move the focus of your IT department and your IT professionals and your services away from just checking that the lights are on to things that make your business more competitive is going to accelerate the business quite significantly. The aspect of the markets being fragmented, there being different regulatory regimes in different countries, and very little alignment and vehicles for alignment at the moment is creating uncertainty. Where does the data reside? Where can it reside? How is it regulated, and so forth? So data sovereignty is definitely an obstacle. Now we're trying to work to address those as an industry body. The awareness in countries around Asia is not necessarily that high at the moment. So it's also a process of education. When you try new things, when you try new markets, it's got to be. It doesn't cost you an arm and leg to fail in a market. So that's a sensible business decision. We're trying to create visibility through our Cloud Readiness Index, which looks at infrastructure, it looks at the regulatory framework, general business environment and levels of sophistication in different markets. Because speaking again from Asia specifically, there's a huge difference between countries. Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan, Korea in the north, together with Australia, New Zealand, are very mature markets. Compare that to China. India is very large but complex markets, and then the fast-growing markets in the Southeast Asian region. You have to have a strategy. You need to know where you're going, and you need to understand the local conditions in those markets. Generally speaking, for cloud computing, shouldn't matter. Cloud computing is by definition borderless. But of course, in reality, that's not correct. In certain industries, within certain countries, that you're not allowed to take data offshore. So if you, for example, in the finance industry in several countries, for reasons of data protection, data privacy, would not be allowed according to local legislation to be moved across borders. When we founded the association, it was recognized by these quite influential multinational companies that, although they are influential and large multinational companies, there's a number of issues and challenges that they cannot address on their own, regardless of size. So coming together under the umbrella of an organization like this, which is also focusing on Asia, and that means to focus on engaging with the local stakeholders, not just sort of throw standards out the window, but try to understand what are the conditions in the different countries and recognizing that they're very different. Without an organization like this, that would be very difficult to achieve. And we're now in a position where we have a lot of very positive discussions and engagements with the stakeholders within different markets, because governments are going to play a very important role in setting up an environment that is conducive to cloud.